Hey guys, and welcome back to All the Mods 10, episode 39. Now, isn't this a sight for sore eyes, eh? Been gone for so long, it's almost been a couple of weeks since I played this game. I mean, All the Mods 10. I've been a little bit busy in real life and in Money Factory. Either way, check that series out. That's a lot of fun too. A whole different ball game when compared to All the Mods 10, and much more grindy. But anyways, in this episode, Quantum Armor, because it's about damn time. Now, before y'all get your hopes too high, I'm actually talking about the Quantum Armor from AdvancedAE and not the armor from Extended Industrialization or Modern Industrialization, even though I'll probably make both of them because I have a lot of spaces to fill. Now, before I left, I did do a slightly intelligent thing, and that was to make a set of unobtainium because I knew that this would need unobtainium armor as a base to make the Quantum Armor. And you know, looking at these recipes here, the only thing I'm actually missing are the quantum alloy plates and the ME wireless access point as autocrafts, and the rest I can just request. How interesting. I wonder why I didn't bother making this earlier. Something to think about. But anyways, really quickly, let's just encode these recipes because we have to, and because, well, I'm really not a fan of handcrafting anything anymore, thanks to my Money Factory experiences. I am sort of done with crafting things by hand. I'm much happier just, you know, putting things in here and letting the machines figure it out for me. Ah, what a luxury I've missed. That one goes in the reaction chamber, I believe, which is down here. Cool. And now that those recipes are in, all I really need to do is control-click the plus sign and ask it to craft all of this stuff for me and let the machines do their job pretty much. I can also then go ahead and request even more crafts, but actually, no ifs and buts. Let's just go. Let's just craft all of them because I can and I want to. And that's the quantum helmet. There's the chest plate, the leggings, and the boots. That's got to be an achievement of some sort, and it is. Cool. Let's just charge these real nice and fast, thanks to my massive power bank, which is completely full, by the way. Now all that's left to do is load these up with a bunch of upgrades. I wonder how many of these I'm gonna make. Answer is probably all of them. Because this armor set, my dear viewer, is another example of a highly configurable one where you can actually change what upgrades do exactly like my Eclipse alloy stuff. Where I can shift right click the air and then decide what I want to do with the upgrades. Something similar is possible here. I have just counted there to be 21 total upgrades, so I'm just gonna make 21 of these basic upgrade cards and then let's go through them. We've got walk speed, sprint speed, we've got step assist, jump height, lava immunity, flight, water breathing, auto feeding, auto stocking, the magnet card, an HP buffer card, the evasion card which somehow takes 4 others, the regeneration card, strength, attack speed, block card, the reach card, swing speed, night vision, weather card, 4 of these charging cards, a portable weapon card, otherwise useful, and lastly, the pick craft card. And with this, I think it's time to say goodbye to my Eclipse alloy and say hello to Quantum Armor. Now, before anyone says anything else, I want to point out how cool this thing looks. Hello, look at me. I'm like some sort of tech samurai. Hold on, let me take this backpack off. Let's check out the back. Hopefully my cape is in the way. Ah, whatever. It looks cool as hell though. Look at me. Anyways, to configure all of this armor, it seems like I just gotta press N with the armor equipped, and now I can just sort of slot all of these in. Oh, it takes a second though. That's a shame. So I have to put in the helmet cards and the helmet, that's the chest plate. That's the boots. Give me a second. And if I wasn't fast earlier, I am so fast now. Especially in the upwards direction. This is a game changer, especially when building. I suddenly regret having not bought into the AdvancedAE club before, or earlier I should say. This is so cool. Anyways, this is a little bit too fast for me, so I'm probably gonna change some of these. The reach config is different, so that probably means I can reach 5 extra blocks. Yeah, I can click my waystone from all the way over here. I mean, yeah, there we go. That's pretty neat. I'm also getting night vision that I don't exactly like because I want to keep my base looking a little bit moody, like sort of like that. The plain night vision makes it a little too white and takes away all the nice lighting that I've put in all of the corners. I'm also going to be turning off auto feed, auto stock, and the magnet as well as the portable workbench, because I really don't need those. For my, whatchamacallit, the chest plate, I would want light. What I don't want is pickcraft, because I don't want that. Another cool thing about this set is the flight drift cancellation. So if I leave this config at 100 and I start moving, you can see it takes me a quick second to slow down. I don't slow down instantly. However, if I then go back and make the setting like 0, I will stop instantly. How cool is that? It feels like I'm lagging into place. It's a little bit disorienting, but I would imagine it's a game changer for like being accurate with like a build. For example, if you really want to place a framed block in like a certain orientation and you just need to place it just right, you can just sort of nudge yourself along. That'd be super helpful in that case. And now that I have one quantum armor, it's time to look for the other. Of course, I'll be making another set of quantum armor just to put up on display. For example, that's the Eclipse armor that I used to use. Or sorry, that's the Eclipse armor that I used to use, but that's the one I just put on display. So I'm gonna probably do the same with the quantum armor and the quantum armor and the quantum armor, even though I plan on using the quantum armor and the quantum armor. You know what I'm talking about, right? And to achieve the goal of making really expensive modern industrializations things, I think I'm gonna experiment with the processing arrays. Now, the processing array is one of those machines that can take in other single block machines from MI and run them 8, 16, 32, or 64 at a time, all for varying sizes of the overall multi-block. And if I can count correctly, that seems like it is 9 blocks long. You know what else is 9 blocks long? One of these gaps. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? I think you are. And on second thought, it does look like input hatches can only go on the top and output hatches can only go on the bottom, so my ideas of stacking them horizontally, like the long way, processing arrays the long way, above and below each other, kinda don't make sense if I want to wall share them. So I think I'm gonna have to stick them side by side, and given that the sides are just glass, I should be able to put another processing array in the middle here. Sorta like that, because now I can have the assemblers in one, the polarizers in another, the centrifuges in another, and so on and so forth. That leaves me with the space in between the machines, which is this layer right here, or leaving automation like pattern providers and such. Maybe even some pipes. Yeah, let's try that. I have just made a rookie mistake, and that was the fact that I recorded a bunch of this talking with my mic still muted. I was talking about how I've had to make the highly advanced item input because of the fact that some of these assembling recipes and some of these recipes in general request so many items that a single steel input hatch couldn't handle it. So I went up the tiers, made the advanced, didn't quite work. Made the highly advanced, and that seems like it's working, so let's move on. And given the current high cost of these, I'm gonna fill the rest in with just stainless steel machine casings. You know, because I don't really need too many recipes processing at once, and if and when I do, I can always just set up a subnet. Because of course, I love subnets. And again, if I've done all of this correctly, that should complete the Blunty block. And it has. You can see that the hatch has changed colors. And hindsight being 2020, I have moved my input hatch all the way at the back here because that's where the pattern provider is going to live. Given the fact that I'm wall sharing side to side, it's really unlikely for me to be able to find a solution where the pattern provider lives on the side for all of them, because of course this guy has both sides occupied. In that case, there'll be a pattern provider on the end that pushes up into the inputs and gets pushed into from the bottom for outputs. And because somehow people keep asking me about how I set up my subnets, I'll do it one more time, live on camera. You put your storage bus where you want the items to go, you put your import bus on where the items are coming from. I'm using an import bus because you can use it without setting a filter. If you were to flip this around, you would have to tell the export bus what to filter. Anyways, you would then take some sort of cable and connect all of these up. I'm using blue in this case because white happens to be the cable color for my main network. And then that's pretty much it. Once all of these have power, the import bus will pull anything that's in the buffer, gas, fluid items up into the network, and the storage buses will rather responsibly find the appropriate locations to put them. For example, the fluids will end up in the fluid inputs and the items will end up in the item inputs. Yes, these are smart enough to differentiate. And I think for outputs, I'm simply going to use mechanism pipes because it doesn't make sense for me to use anything else. I would not want to use a subnet for connecting so many outputs together, especially, I mean, that's only 6 in all fairness. I could have used a subnet, I just chose to do it this way. And I guess I need a configurator to do this. Fortunately for me, it should live exactly where I left it, in my backpack. Now, since all of those are set to auto push, they should hypothetically put all of their items into, well, the ultimate pipe and then send it on up. Yeah, I was about to beep boop for you guys, but looking at my channels and my cables revealed the fact that I actually have a completely spare thing right here. It's literally just using a single channel, and the maximum I will ever end up using in this wall is 16, so I should just be able to pull this cable across. Sorry guys, no beep boops for you this time. Maybe next time though. And now using a Certus Quartz knife, I will name this I'll name this 64X assembler, because I'm going to put assemblers in here to test this out, of course. Yeah. And I did go ahead and add a second fluid input hatch because, you know, some assembling machine recipes require more than one fluid, because obviously this thing has 2 fluid inputs and 3 outputs. So, you know, I'm hoping this helps. I don't know if it will or not, but that's why we try things. And speaking of trying things, I have now put in 64 assemblers in here, and unfortunately that does mean that I will have to decommission this wall of assemblers already. At least for the sake of trying. In fact, I think instead of using or reusing recipes from there, I will make a new recipe. For example, I have not made a recipe for this yet, a highly advanced upgrade or a turbo upgrade or even advanced upgrades or even basic upgrades. So let's get started, because obviously I will need these to make quantum upgrades, right? And given that I have 64 machines to run these patterns in, I'm going to use a pattern modifier and make it so that I make full use of 64 machines at a time. So I'm just going to multiply this like by 64 a bunch of times. And I'll do it again, so it's using a stack of digital circuit boards at a time. Yeah, let's just make a stack of processing or a stack of like regular upgrades. There we go. And honestly, given that each quantum upgrade requires 32 highly advanced upgrades, which is a 1-to-1, so one of those needs 32, so 256 will make 16, and I only need 8 total quantum upgrades. I think that this recipe is a bit overkill. You rarely hear me say that, but I currently don't want to waste too much of modern industrialization materials because it's a lot of AFK time more than anything. So I'm going to divide this by a bunch, so they only produce 16 at a time. That seems like a more reasonable number, plus it'll prevent my machine from doing funny things. Actually, let me rephrase that. What I mean to say is, if you're using a setup such as this with the subnets, it's highly possible that if you request multiple things at once, a bunch of them get inputted into these input hatches, and then everything's a little haywire. So if I run into that issue, what I'll end up doing is pulling a separate P2P tunnel channel over here, and having multiple different inputs all with their own pattern providers so that they don't like crosstalk. Because if I request some of these, if I request some of these and some of those, and 2 of these happen to have ingredients that make a third thing, the machine doesn't know the difference. So it'll just make one of the 3 things, whatever it feels like it, in whatever order it sees fit. And that's sort of why I want to try this machine out. I don't exactly understand how these work. They clearly take upgrades, so I might as well just still request a stack of these. Given that now I make 64 at a time, it'll make exactly 64. And hopefully this just works. Oh, it's crafting a bunch of crap before it, isn't it? Let's see. You know, there's days where I feel like an idiot. I've been looking at this for a while now, just staring at it really goddamn hard, trying to wonder why this won't work. Like, what am I doing wrong? Why isn't this just simply working as it should? I'll give you a hint. It starts with the letter P and ends with the letter R. I'm missing power. How is the machine supposed to run with no power supply? God damn it. And it turns out that input hatches or energy hatches can only go up front, so there we go. Now is it working? Come on, I just want to fit through the whole crap here. Let me through. There it is working. And it's already done. Now, for the sake of comparison, let's request the next hero upgrades. If I just search up upgrades, it should show up, right? Yeah, so the next tier would be the advanced upgrades. Let's just request 64 of them. Why not? You know, I didn't realize polyethylene was still a bottleneck, but it's done now. What are you missing here? Basic upgrades, a few large motors, all of the upgrades, and the polyethylene. A few buckets at a time, but hey, it's running 64 machines at once, so it's gonna make all basically 16 at once. And I like that a lot. That's really cool in my opinion. And it's almost done. There it is. All in one shot too. How cool is that? And I almost completely forgot to mention, but you can obviously soul search these machines, so I'm gonna poke a hole in every single one of them and copy what I'm doing over there with a subnet and an interface behind it, so I can soul search them. Yeah, I'll put an interface down here, make a little branching subnet that goes up. I don't know, I don't like this as much because it's blocking my view of the little viewing window I made here. Do I want to drop this down from the top? Yeah, I think I'll try that too, why not? Oh yeah, now that looks much better. I just had to snake the cable up and around into that cable facade there instead of, down and up. But yeah, I think it's time for me to request the next tier of upgrades, which are the highly advanced upgrades. So let's check this out. Once again, I want to make a stack. Ooh, what am I missing? Let's check it out. I just hit cancel and hit Y again, and it seems like all that's actually missing is large advanced pumps. I don't exactly know what's wrong with this. I feel like this is a buffering issue though, because even though I can craft so many, I am missing, I guess I'm using too much of my copper or something. I don't know. I'll look more into it when I have the time. For now, I think I'll just craft 16 of them. That should be no problem at all, right? I will have to accelerate the polyethylene though. That's for sure. Look at him go. Alright, let's check this out. Is this machine on? It will be soon. I don't entirely understand why I was so confused earlier about the order of operations here. The highly advanced upgrade uses the turbo upgrade in its recipe, which is why it felt like such a big jump in the amount of materials used. I'm skipping a step. Anyways, my next goal would be to make the quantum circuit board, and that requires helium-3. Helium-3, which comes from a centrifuge through processing helium. Now my current helium process is just this little centrifuge over here, just this guy alone. And I think in total it has produced about, let's check it out, I think it's around 2000 helium that I'm storing. Yeah, 2500 helium. So, I don't know. Do I need a lot of it? Let's check it out. I have just heard back what I recorded while I was looking into how many quantum circuits I need, and it's basically just a bunch of math, and it ended up with the conclusion that I may or may not need a new system. I don't know yet. We'll find out when we find out. And if and when I do, I will upgrade my system as I see fit. In the meantime though, I have more machines to set up. Oh, where would I ever be without the time wand? Because this is the opposite way of playing modern industrialization or any basic Gregging. You never want just a machine crafting on demand. This is going against what I said initially, which is passive everything. But I do have means to make better passive machines now than ever before, so I don't know, should I passive these and then passive those, or should I just set up those and then replace these? Let me know in the comments which makes more sense, because I bet some of this advice will also transfer over to Money Factory. Let me know. And hey, just between you and me, while you're down there, you should totally like and subscribe too. I'm just saying. And oh wait, it's doing the thing. Look at it go. It's basically as fast as a single machine, except it runs 64 machines at once. And I think that's okay. Even though it's taken forever and 2 entire time wands worth of time fluid, but there is 16 highly advanced upgrades. That's enough to make what? Half a quantum upgrade? And it's taken me about an hour of babying the process to make sure nothing's too fast or too slow. I think some of the first things I'll change out is these machines here. These were what took the longest. The chemical reactors making p-doped and n-doped silicon. So those will get their own machines over there, as well as the PVC machine and some of those ingredients there, like the quantum units and the processing units and the RAM chips. Yeah, those take forever too. So much to do. "64 electric compressors, because steel and steel plates are a nightmare to craft. Let's go." In my humble opinion, a setup such as this one is unnecessary for the electric compressors because they only ever take the single input. I, however, do think I'll use a subnet to get the outputs back out, but I do have 3 channels. But I need more machines anyways. Interesting. You know, I can also just do that to the outputs so they end up in this pattern provider here. Because where it comes back to doesn't matter as long as it ends up in the system. These are now hooked up just normally. I can finally take the patterns for steel and such from over here and move them back. Hell yeah. And at least for all of these plate recipes, I do want to times 64 of these. So these are currently doing a single, so I think that should make it 64 right there. Yes. Excellent. Now this can go into, I don't know, just half of these can go in here and the other half can go in here. Just so that they don't crowd each other up. Seems like a solid idea. And now hypothetically, with Soul Surge, if I now request, I don't know, 100 to build the rest of these, let's see how long this actually takes. Look at it go. It's making how many at a time? I'm curious. Let's see, crafting chains. It's already done with the stainless steel for it? Or am I looking at the wrong thing here? I feel like I'm looking at the wrong thing. Let's check it out. It's actually already done with the stainless steel plates. It's now doing the screws and the bolts. So that tells me that these machines would be the next to go. Or specifically the cutting machines. Yes. Excellent. Cutting machines are next. And I think for the cutting machines, I'm just gonna passively request lubricant because it makes no sense for me to actually have lubricant as a part of my recipes, and given that I'm already subnetting out the souls, I can rather easily just put lubricant right here and then just pipe it down. Given that these can auto pull, just have another interface right here and have lubricant requested into this, and it'll just request it down the subnet, so I can just continue wiring this in like this, right? And then the lubricant will show up here eventually when this gets lubricant. See, it just got pulled out. That means it's in here. That means it's going right down into the fluid hatch. Excellent. I'm just waiting on another input hatch, and in the meantime, I think I'm good to put on some more pattern providers. 64 cutting machines. Boop, boop, boop. Bop, bop, bop. Ta-da! And in these 3 brand new processing arrays, I'm gonna put in 32 electric wire mills, chemical reactors, and bending machines, because these were by far the slowest processes like I mentioned earlier. The rest were just to make these faster. Anyways, now I gotta move all of those recipes back over here. And I've done that once before on camera, so quick cut. Ooh, and the outputs for this thing are gonna be a little bit silly, because of course the top is the input side, that means the bottom has to be the output side, and this is already occupied. Fortunately, these are pretty long machines, so I can just take out a couple of these and then make these the outputs. Oh, those are the missing hatches. But you know, just as earlier, I should be able to drag these cables up and all of these together. A little bit funny to move around while I'm shrunk in this high-speed suit because the FOE changes and the perspective changes too, so I feel like I'm too fast. But here we go. I think those are already up and running because they had outputs in here. Cool. Now I have to do the same for the rest. And with these final few recipes going into place, I think it's time for me to call this episode right here. I'm not quite sure how long it is, but it's been long enough that I've been recording. In any case, guys, this has been KSAW and all the mods 10, and I'll see you in the next one, where I promise we'll get to the singularity, maybe. Peace out, everybody.